Hello and welcome back. This is another math video. This one's going to be for Algebra 1, and we're going to focus on reviewing how to solve equations that have variables on both sides of the equation. Okay, here is our first one. We're going to solve -9 minus b equals 8b for b. So to find out what b is equal to. Okay, so this one is just like solving multi-step equations. There's just one little thing that changes, and that's that you have variables on both sides of the equation. What that does is that usually means that you have to gather all your variables on one side and all your numbers on the other side before you can start to solve it. So we still have a line that goes under the equal sign right here to divide the equation into two parts. Now, like I said, you want to start getting your variables together, your numbers together. So this only has one number here. So I don't need to combine that with any other numbers, but I do need to combine this b and this b together before I solve it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move this minus b to the other side so that I have something on both sides of the equation. I could move the 8b to the other side and join it with the b, but then there would be 0 or nothing on the other side, so I'd have to end up moving something else back eventually. So let me go ahead and move that minus b to the other side by doing the opposite. The opposite is to add b. So I'm going to do plus b here and plus b here. What that does is cancel out these two b's because negative b plus b is 0. I'm going to bring down this -9, and then I'm going to make that equal to 8b plus another b is 9b. Okay, so that's our first step. And now I want to continue to get things away from b to solve it. So the opposite of multiplying b times 9 is to divide b by 9. So that's what I'm going to do. Divide by 9, and the other side divide by 9 as well. What happens here is 9 times b and then divided by b brings us right back to b. And that would be true with any number. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that and put b right here. And then on the other side, -9 divided by 9 is -1. So in this case, b is equal to -1. Here's our next example. We're going to solve again for the letter b using 8b plus 9 equals 7b. So let me go ahead and draw a line down here to separate the two sides or the two parts of the equation. I want to start moving things away from the b, but the problem is there's a b on the other side. So I think to save myself some steps, because yes, I could move the 7b to the other side, but then I'd have 0 and I'd have to move something back. So I think instead what I'll do is I'll move this 8b to the other side to combine it with the 7b. So let me go ahead and do that by doing the opposite. The opposite of a positive 8 is a -8. So -8b here, -8b here. These will cancel out to 0. I'll bring down the 9, and then 7 minus 8 is -1. So this is -1b. You could also write that as -b. So the opposite of multiplying b times -1 is to divide it by -1. So that's what I'm going to do. Divide that by -1 and this by -1. -1 times b and then divided by -1 is the same as just b. So we're going to cancel those out. I have b over here, and then 9 divided by -1 is -9. So that would be the answer to this equation. B is equal to -9. Okay, here's our next one. This one gets a little more complicated because it involves some fractions. So we have 5 over 2 minus 2g equals 5 over 2g minus 3 plus g. So before we start even beginning to solve and move things around, we've got to deal with some simplifying. So I'm going to show you a little trick that I use when I am dealing with fractions in an equation that will eliminate the fractions and allow me to just use whole numbers. And that little secret is, let me rewrite this first, 5 over 2 minus 2g equals 5 over 2g minus 3 plus g. So that little secret that I was telling you about is to multiply each term in the equation by the denominator of the fraction. So since both of these fractions have 2 in them, that means I'm going to multiply every single term in this equation by 2. So that would be this times 2, this times 2, this times 2, this times 2, and this times 2. What that will do is eliminate the fractions from the equation, which will make it a little bit easier for me to solve. So 5 times 2 is 10, and then over 2, 10 over 2 is 5. Or if you wanted to, you could just cancel those out. So this is 5 minus, then 2 times 2 is 4. So we'll put 4g here equals. Then again, we have the same situation. So I'm going to cancel those 2's out and make it 5g. Now, if you find that concept confusing of why I would do that, go ahead and see some of my previous videos on simplifying fractions. Minus 3 times 2, so that's going to be minus 6, plus g times 2, so that's going to be plus 2g. So now I have rewritten an equivalent equation that involves no fractions at all. Okay, so let's talk about how we can start to solve this. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to erase this part here, and then I'm going to move up the part I just wrote, just so I have a little more room. Okay, so I'm going to move that up here. There we go. Okay, so like when we have variables on both sides, we need to combine those variables together on the same side. So I'm going to start gathering up my g's. Now on this side, I have a 5g and a 2g already on the same side. So I can just combine like terms there. So this is going to be 5 minus 4g equals 7g minus 6. Okay, so all I did was combine the 5g and the 2g together to make it a little bit simpler. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move, and here, let me pick another color here. I'm going to move this 7g over here. So since it's going to cross the line, that means I do the opposite to both sides. So that means I'm going to subtract 7g here and subtract 7g here. These g's will cancel out to 0. And then negative 4g and negative 7g is negative 11g. So that minus in front of the 4g means that it's a negative 4g. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Now, again, I think I'm going to erase some of this just to move stuff up and give myself more room for you to see the whole problem. Let me go ahead and circle that, move it up. Okay, so we've got 11g. We need to bring down the 5, and we need to bring down this minus 6 or negative 6. So now what I need to do is gather my numbers together. My variables are already gathered on the left, so I'm going to gather my numbers on the right. So the opposite of a positive 5 is a negative 5 and a minus 5 here. The reason I decided to cancel and move the 5 is because I want it to be on the other side than the g. So this is negative 11g still over here equals negative 11. So my final step here to solve is to get that negative 11 away from the g. So the opposite of multiplying g times negative 11 is to divide g by negative 11. So that's what I'm going to do here. These will cancel because negative 11 divided by negative 11 is g, or is 1, and 1 times g is just g. So I'm going to put that up here. G is what's left on the left. And negative 11 divided by negative 11 is equal to 1. So the answer to this is g is equal to 1. That's a lot of work to get the answer of 1. Okay, here's my next one. I'm going to take 4 minus 3 over 5m equals 6 over 5m plus 2. So I'm going to use that trick again because I've got some more fractions here. So I'm going to rewrite 4 minus 3 over 5m equals 6 over 5m plus 2. So since both the denominators are 5, that means I'm going to multiply each term in the equation times 5. So this is going to be times 5, this will be times 5, times 5, and times 5. Okay, so 4 times 5 is 20, minus, and then these 5s will cancel, leaving me with 3m equals, again, these 5s cancel, so that's 6m, and then 2 plus 5, or 2 times 5 is 10. So that's what I'm left with here. 20 minus 3m equals 6m plus 10. That is an equivalent equation to the one we were given, but involves no fractions. Okay, so now we need to gather our variables together and our numbers together. So I think this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather the numbers first instead of the variables, which means I need to move this 20 over here and combine it with the 10. So since it's going to cross that line that goes in between the two sides to the equation, the opposite of a negative or of 20 is negative 20. So I'm going to go here, negative 20, negative 20. This is going to cancel to 0, leaving me with negative 3m over here. I'm going to bring down that 6m, and then 10 minus 20 is negative 10. So that's what that looks like so far. Now I need to gather my variables together on the left, since my numbers have already been gathered together on the right. So what I'm going to do is come over here, and again, I'm going to pick a different color. There we go. I'm going to move that 6m to the other side. So the opposite of a positive 6m is a negative 6m. So I'm going to come over here and do this. These will cancel, leaving me with negative 10 over here, and negative 3 plus negative 6 is negative 9m. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and maybe erase some of this and move it up just because it gives us a little bit more room to see the rest of the work. So let me delete that. Okay, that works. I'll go ahead and move this part up. There we go. Okay, so this is where I'm at. Now what I need to do is get that negative 9 away from m so that I can see what m is equal to. So the opposite of multiplying m times negative 9 is to divide it by negative 9 on both sides. Cancel those 9s. M equals negative 10 over negative 9. Okay, so a negative over a negative, or a negative divided by a negative, is a positive. So this answer is actually going to be positive 10 over 9. Or I could rewrite that as a mixed number because it's an improper fraction, which would be 1 and 1/9. So either 10 over 9 or 1 and 1/9. Okay, here is our last one for today's video. No fractions here, so we're just going to kind of go ahead and start solving without really doing any simplifying. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that line between the two parts of the equation on the two sides. I'm going to gather my variables together. So I'm going to take this 5 and move it to the other side and combine it with the 4t. So 5t will combine with 4t. The opposite of 5t is negative 5t. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract those. Cancel that, 7, and then 4 minus 5 is negative 1. So I'm going to make that minus t equals, and then bring down the 17. Now I need to put the numbers together. So since the variables were already combined on the left, I'm going to combine the numbers on the right. So the opposite of a positive 7 is a negative 7. These will cancel. I'll have negative t over here equals 17 minus 7, which is 10. So we have negative t equals 10. And that's great, except we want to know what t is, not negative t. So anytime you have a negative in front of a variable, that's like negative 1 times t. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1 to get rid of that negative. So t is actually equal to 10 divided by negative 1, which is negative 10. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you in another video very soon.